Well, my name's Helen Graham. I teach Museum and Heritage Studies at the University of Leeds, and I'm a researcher who's got a background working in museums and heritage, but I use action and participatory and collaborative research techniques to explore questions of engagement, local democracy, and participation.
If you had to explain what action research is, what would you say?
Action research is about finding out something by doing something and then thinking about it.
What are the key components of action research? If you could just list a few words and then explain why they are so essential.
Traditionally, action research has been defined by 4 keywords: plan, act, observe, and reflect, which is Kurt Lewin's action research cycle. Each of them are intimately connected. You can't do one without the other in an action research context, but it's all about thinking about what it is you want to understand, what it is you're going to do to try and understand it, look at what happened as a result of you doing it, and think about what it means.
What are the challenges and opportunities of doing action research?
Most absolutely brilliant thing about doing action research is it means that you're understanding complex phenomena that are changing all of the time, whether that's an organisation or a city or a complex issue, by being inside it and by being able to understand it through trying things out within that complexity. And so what's absolutely fantastic about action research is it massively expands the idea about what knowledge is. It includes know-how and intuition and experience and memory, as well as traditional forms of research knowledge. And it knows the world by being within the world. So there's no idea of an objective viewer who can know phenomena from the outside, but a fully interconnected, living, complex approach to the world where you are inside it and know it through trying things out and thinking about what's happened as a result.
So talking about the potential community partner for your action research project, so what are the ideal characteristics for this partner to actually make the most from this project?
I've worked with all sorts of people doing action research projects, from people who are just individual people with interests in a city and how it can change, all the way through to large organisations. And I think the absolutely only thing you need to do an action research project and to find it useful is to have a question, have something you want to understand more about. That's it. It's as simple as that.
So what would you define as a success in action research?
I think any kind of action research project produces successes in all sorts of ways. I mean, it's often really small insights, but that can be powerful if they're applied. I think the thing about action research is that it's not trying to necessarily create any specific kind of outcome or change. It's trying to understand better the complexity of the phenomena people are living in and experiencing. So I also think what's really important about thinking about success is that the notion of success is set by the people who are involved, not externally. So there's a kind of mutual insider definition of success rather than external and imposed definition of success.
Have you got any special memory or happy memory of a moment in one of your projects?
Thinking about kind of a happy memory in action research, it would be a bit too easy, I think, to go for the big celebrations or successes like exhibition openings or the ends of projects where everyone's coming together and celebrating. I think the things that make me happiest, are probably moments where something that's completely complex, difficult to understand and somewhat intractable, you get some slight sense of a way forward with it. And that's the joy of action research. It's not the big celebrations, it's the small ways in which a new door opens in the process of the research.
And any memories of a moment when that was particularly challenging or difficult, and why that was so difficult?
I think action research is always really difficult because you're trying to do stuff to understand it, and therefore you're embroiled in it. You're in it, and a lot of the best insights come from moments where you suddenly realise that everyone who you're working with haven't been seeing it in the same way as you, and you haven't been seeing it as the same way as them. And that's actually the most important kind of insight you can get from action research, because it's what you need to start to shift paradigms and to create shared understandings and share basis for moving forward. So some of the most difficult moments are also the most productive moments, and those difficult moments are when you realise you're not seeing something the same way, but it's precisely that difficulty that then leads to the way forward.
So just to close with this last question, is there anything specific that you learned as academic by doing action research?
You know, so many things, and all the time, and so much of it is about understanding the connections between your most visceral feelings and the world we live in. It's like a way of connecting your gut with the structures of the world and the way that we organise it and how they might change. And so for me, the biggest insight that I've got from doing action research is how to connect those entirely different orders that are often seen as being completely separate. You know, the sociological imagination about, you know, what comprises the world, and intuition, gut, and emotion. And it's the connection between the two that I constantly learn from in action research.